All right, wow. The wheel of realignment continues to turn in college sports with the recent announcement this week that the Pac-12 is actually expanding, adding Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Colorado State, all from the Mountain West, to get back up to 6 members and to create an advisory board on future expansion. This is coming just a week after negotiations to keep up the scheduling agreement between the Mountain West and Oregon State and Washington State fell through, with the Mountain West making it sound like they were the ones who ceased to have any interest. So these two schools may have just dealt a killing blow to the Mountain West by taking their 4 most important schools and moving on. Obviously, this creates a whole host of new things that have to happen from here, not just for the new Pac-12, but for some other conferences affected by school movement too. But for starters, let's look at the Pac-12. These 4 schools added were all prominent names connected to the Pac-12 before they lost a majority of their schools to the Big 12 and Big 10 earlier last year. Cal and Stanford, of course, jumped ship to join the ACC and keep their place as Power 5 teams. While it would be cool to have those two rejoin the Pac-12, right now the ACC is just far more prestigious of an organization than this new Pac-12 could be. They're probably still a group of 6 conference, but the hope is that with the right ads, they'll take the American or Sun Belt spot as the best of the group of 6 and move forward from there. I do think Cal and Stanford rejoin the Pac eventually, but probably not for a long time. 10 years, maybe, or until the ACC completely collapses. But the Pac-12 now has 6 schools. NCAA rules decree that a conference needs at least 10 teams for a football conference championship game, so 4 schools is likely the minimum for what they'll target next. Each of the 4 schools they just added were schools that contacted the Pac-12 about possibly joining once Colorado left, before everything else collapsed. So other schools did too, though, so I'll go down that list to see who's most likely from there. But Jim Williams on Twitter listed SMU, UNLV, Tulane, USF, Memphis, Tulsa, and Rice as other schools that contacted the Pac as early as July of 2023, and they're schools that my algorithm liked in realignment talk as well. SMU has since already joined the ACC, and USF's distance might render them a tough addition considering the tighter travel budgets this new Pac-12 is likely to have. Remember, the furthest east team in this conference right now is Colorado State. UNLV is a good addition candidate, but there are some reports that they'll be hamstrung into not joining a new conference if they leave the other school in the University of Nevada system behind. That, and if the Pac wanted them from the Mountain West already, they would have been added in the first round of realignment. John Wilner believes that only 2 more Mountain West schools will get off on a life raft, meaning if the Rebels do make it, there's probably only 1 more lifeboat remaining for a Mountain West school. The Pac-12 will also already be paying $111 million to the Mountain West in early exit fees, and any more schools being added before that conference collapses will just add to it. The Rebels don't have much of an existing football brand and are in the midst of their best season since Randall Cunningham threw passes for them in the 80s. They're good, but they need to build a brand. I do think they'll join eventually, but only after the Mountain West is further destabilized. The next schools I think the Pac will target are in the American, and that brings us to Tulane, Memphis, Rice, and Tulsa. Of these 4, Tulsa is the least likely to make the cut. They are a notoriously tiny college with just under 3,400 students, but underrated athletics histories and surprisingly good research. While football certainly drives the realignment bus, academics is no slouch either. Despite that, there are far better options with Tulane, Memphis, and Rice on the field. Tulane is a growing athletics brand that was formerly a Power Conference member in the SEC and is the feature institution in a major metropolitan area, even if it is a small market. Rice has academics and money going for it, as well as being a former Power Conference member in the Southwest and is capable of doing well athletically every once in a while. And Memphis has repeatedly been scorned by realignment in the last 10 years and sits as probably the best group of 5 candidate around. Adding this central time zone triumvirate would also help the conference in terms of visibility on game days. While none of these schools are really Pacific at all, they are closer to each other and wouldn't have as much of a travel burden as some other schools like UConn or USF. I believe the Pac-12 will add these 3 schools next to get to 9, and then add UNLV to get to 10 as a bare minimum. Other schools not mentioned could get some attention, like UTSA and Texas State in Texas, and schools like UConn, East Carolina, and half the ACC if they want to go coast to coast. But it is the Pac-12 after all, so for the sake of the video, I'll look at 2 more expansion candidates, Air Force and New Mexico, for that last spot out of the Mountain West. New Mexico provides a new media market in Albuquerque, but has otherwise been a disappointing sports brand for a long time, ever since they dropped out of the Big 12 consideration in the 90s. Air Force has a massive national brand and great academics as a military academy, but fits inside a media market already filled by Colorado State. My guess is the conference will lean towards New Mexico, and Air Force will end up in the American with Army and Navy. Regardless, that leaves a massive 6-team hole in the Mountain West that would need to be filled immediately. Aside from New Mexico State and UTEP likely getting the call from Conference USA, there are a handful of FCS teams that I think would make sense to move up and join the conference if they needed. The first obvious choices are Montana, Montana State, and UC Davis to help keep a foothold in the state of California. The Grizz and Bobcats are some of the largest brands in the FCS and fit inside the existing geographic region of the Mountain West. The Aggies are one of the biggest schools in California and just recently unveiled new plans for an on-campus stadium. Other schools that will probably get interest are Tarleton State in Texas, Northern Arizona, Sac State, Gonzaga, and St. Mary's as non-football members to offset Hawaii being just a football member, and probably all 4 Dakota schools as a single unit. Obviously, North Dakota State and South Dakota State are the valuable schools here, but it would be hard to lure them into a conference where there'd be geographical outliers. While the Dakota schools definitely make more money as FCS powerhouses than they would as FBS also-rans, they're talented programs in multiple sports, and earning a foothold in the Central Time Zone would also help the Mountain West with visibility. It's a long shot, but they'd at least have to pick up the phone for it. Now for the American. Aside from forcing Wichita State to start football back up again, their identity has been mostly on adding schools in major metropolitan areas. Current FBS schools that fit the bill include Georgia State from the Sun Belt, which is in Atlanta, and Florida International from Conference USA, which is in Miami, but I can also see them getting very creative with their additions. Considering they already have Army and Navy as football affiliate members, why not go the distance and add Air Force? They could also steal metropolitan area teams like San Jose State or Nevada Reno to completely kill the Mountain West, any of the Sun Belt's Virginia schools, App State, or poach from the MAC even to take schools like Northern Illinois and the Chicago market, Toledo, or even Buffalo. I can definitely see the Americans stretching from sea to shining sea after this round of realignment is done. What does this mean for schools like Hawaii or Wyoming, though? While I don't see Wyoming making the new Pac-12, I do think they're a sneaky good realignment ad. They have great NIL opportunities, even in the state with the smallest population due to ranch money, I'm not even kidding, and their football programs have been salty over the years. Honestly, I know they're probably not all that likely, but I will personally be pounding the table for Wyoming to end up in this new Pac-12. Hawaii, though, might start seriously looking at independence or FCS football. Their athletic department has struggled since it arrived at the FBS level, and being a team literally on an island hours away from every other team in the country has a negative effect on the financials of your institution. And with the football stadium's finish date constantly being pushed back, I wouldn't be surprised if they just canned their football program entirely, seeing as they're only a football member of the Mountain West and are members of the Big West for all other sports. So if I had to guess, the Pac-12 will likely be the new American in terms of athletic strength, becoming the best of the rest conference, but staying alive, which was something not many people had thought likely up until they pulled an Uno reverse on the Mountain West a few days ago. But what do you guys think? Will the Pac-12 be the best group of 6 conference? Who else will they add? Will the Mountain West survive by adding FCS schools? What about the other conferences? Let me know in the comments below.